Well, good afternoon, everyone. Lovely to see you all. We have people from many countries. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for the greatest gift you can give, which is your time. Before I introduce our wonderful speaker for today, let me just briefly explain for those of you who have not come across the Alpha Group before, who we are and what we do. The Alpha Group is a worldwide organization. We are currently in 31 countries around the world. We have been established for 9 years. I am joined by the International Managing Director, Colin Lindsay. Colin, with his team, has built the Alpha Group. The Alpha Group is a peer-to-peer executive board working exclusively with business owners, only the owners of businesses in 31 countries. We make them one promise and one promise only. And that promise is that we will double the value of their business in 2 to 3 years. And so far, we have never failed. Business owners join the Alpha Group. They come to a meeting once a month from approximately 7:30 a.m. until 2 p.m. So 6.5 hours. They meet around a boardroom table, and we have a couple of rules. Number one, never more than 20 members in any one Alpha Group, irrespective of the size of the city. So if you have a city like Mumbai or Istanbul, 20 million people, doesn't matter. Only 20 ever in one Alpha Group. And number two, no 2 people in the same industry. So we build a team of local business owners. They meet once a month, they work together, and we help to build, grow, expand, and develop their business. The Alpha Group launched the Foresight series last year, and it has grown to become incredibly popular all around the world. So today we have a real treat for you all. We have someone that I actually know very personally and have known for a number of years. We have Iulia. Now, Iulia Sorescu is, what is she? Oh my goodness, I don't have time. She is not only a highly respected, qualified and accredited coach. She is a clinical psychologist. She is an accredited practitioner. She runs her own company called Uprise Action, and she offers, with business owners all around Europe and beyond, learning, resolving, evolving. She offers psychological and coaching services, basically, to empower individuals and empower teams so that they can reach their highest potential. So, Iulia, it is a joy and a pleasure to have you with us today. I will stop my camera so that people don't get confused. You have the chair, you are in charge. Take it away. A joy to be with you today, Iulia.
Thank you, Gerard, for your wonderful presentation. I'm really honored to be here. Let me just share my screen with you. So I hope everything is okay.
That's perfect. I can see it. And by the way, everyone, before Iulia starts, if you have any comments or thoughts or questions, please put them in the chat box. I will keep an eye on that, and I will then inform Iulia at the appropriate time what the questions and comments are. Thank you.
That would be great, because I really like to interact with you all, even though I don't see your faces. I'd like to hear your opinions along the presentation. And before jumping into the what, the why, the who, and the how of resilience, I first want to welcome everybody. Like, I saw people from United States, from UK, from like all over Europe, India, South Africa. So thank you for joining me today. It's really an honor to be here with you. So I need no words to introduce myself, as Gerard said it all. I just want to add something. I want to add that I came across resilience as a psychological concept during the research I was doing on well-being during pandemics as my bachelor degree thesis. And surprisingly, or not surprisingly at all, actually, it was shown that people demonstrating resilience do have a greater level of well-being, even in bad circumstances. And with everything that happened in the last 2 years with the pandemics, resilience become the new highly appreciated skills for teams and organizations. The new trend, I may say, like the resilient leadership, if we are searching it on Google, it comes on top. So what's the fuss about it? And I want to start with a story. Probably you've heard of Viktor Frankl, a survivor of a concentration camp during the Holocaust and the author of Man in Search of Meaning. And I'm starting with him because he is the model of resilience for me. And he set himself the purpose of surviving to tell the world about the cruel experiences of a concentration camp. And he survived writing bits of this book on whatever materials he had at hand. And when those materials weren't available anymore, he survived by keeping it alive in his memory, so he could write it after that. And he mentioned that we must never forget that the way that we might also find meaning in life, even when confronted with a hopeless situation. And with this, we can see that we have two pieces of resilience, that it comes with resilience, with adversity, and that meaning will help us bounce back. Of course, this is an extreme example. We don't normally face this kind of situation. However, on a lower level, we all come across lost or missed opportunities, health issues, economic hardships, to name just a few. And one of the questions that was posed during the pandemic especially is why some people stand up even in the face of the worst imaginable experiences while others cannot move past daily setbacks. And going to the next level is why there are leaders and organizations dealing so beautifully with the uncertain context while others are failing behind. So I'm actually curious first to see what is resilience for you. And because I wanted to make this interactive, I will copy and paste the link in the chat box. And I want to invite you to go to the link in the chat box or to scan the QR code here on the slide if it's easier. And when you are ready, I want you to type your answer. What is resilience for you? One word. And I'm starting to see answers coming up. This is really beautiful. I'll give you 1 more minute. Okay. We are going to create a word cloud, and I will share with you. Just 1 second. I bet you can now see the screen with your answers. So never give up, strength, adaptation, bouncing back. Good. And while you are answering, you're going to see more and more answers appearing on the screen. That's wonderful.
Iulia, you have stopped the screen share.
Can you see? Okay, it should be here right now. Okay.
Yes, there we are. That's it.
Okay, perfect. And you see how it moves along while you are answering. Thank you for jumping in here. Self-regulation, balance. Wonderful. So I will share this image with you after the presentation, but this actually shows the complexity of resilience and how it means different things for each of us. And it actually brings us back to the definition of resilience. I will go back to my presentation, just bear with me. Okay. I'm trying to open the chat as well. And thank you for those who answered in the chat box. Adaptation, relentless. So it's been quite a debate around this term, and across research and practice, there has been considerable confusion over its meaning, because it was seen as a process, it was seen as an individual trait or an outcome, or all at once. And among the most common views on resilience are those that I lie down here on the slide for you, like a dynamic process of successful adaptation to adversity, or the ability of individuals to adapt successfully in the face of acute stress, trauma, chronic adversity, maintaining or rapidly regaining psychological well-being. We can see that among these definitions, we spot some commonalities, such as adversity. So it comes with adversity, and it's a skill or a process that helps us thrive through this adversity. But however, if we dig deeper into this definition, we'll see that it actually has two components, two elements. We are talking about recovery on one side, how well people bounce back and recover fully from challenge. And we have sustainability on the other side, like the capacity to continue forward in the face of adversity. To put it in other words, we have survival and we have thriving. And if we are digging even deeper, recovery means a kind of homeostasis, like the fundamental principle, a return to a former, more balanced state. And we know that the normal course of human response is to return to a baseline. Like, for example, blood pressure, it rises under stress and then it lowers back when the triggers disappears. And psychological systems are designed to bounce back as well. But this doesn't explain the fuss around the resilience right now. It doesn't explain why organizations are willing to build this resilience. Because we cannot say that organization will want just to survive. And this is why the other component, sustainability, is really important. Sustainability brings in unique human capacity for appraisal, planning, and intentional actions. And I want to stress this, planning and intentional actions, because this means that we are taking the challenge and we are transforming it. We are being proactive. We are taking what we have and we do something better with it. And that's why it is important for teams and organizations. It implies moving forward and transforming the context. Therefore, resilience is not at all the equivalent of survival, as it is sometimes wrongly believed. And it includes both our ability to emerge from struggle without harm, and also describes the potential for that struggle to catalyze growth. And with this broadened definition, we begin to see why it's so needed today with this uncertain context. And we begin also to understand its complexity. And there are some points that I want to make here. I feel it's needed, that resilience is not about smiling and positive thinking for the sake of it. Like, we will see a bit later that optimism is part of resilience, but a resilient person won't mean that he won't experience grief or anger or disappointment. It means that a resilient person is aware of their emotions. It's able to manage and control the emotions. And secondly, is a concept with many layers. And I try to make a diagram for you to understand what I mean by many layers here. We are talking about resilience starting from the individual, and then we are zooming out to the family, community, organizations, and then the social cultural context. So apart, if we are going back to the individual, apart from the genetic aspects, the things that come with us, we have also the belief system. we have the way we are making sense of the world around us, the way we are looking towards things, and the way we are creating life purpose. Then going then in a zooming out way, if we are going to the family and community, we talk about social ties. It's ingrained in us to rely on others when we need support. It's basically for our survival to lean on each other. And the closest the family ties and the friendships and the social networks that we have, the more chances are that we are more resilient and we face adversity with ease. Of course, if we are zooming out to the organizational level, we have social and community resources. And then, of course, all those layers are interconnected. We communicate with each other. Organizational context or social cultural context is influencing the way we are adapting to adversity and vice versa. And I want to give you just a few examples from each level. Like, for example, if we are going to the individual, if I'm more prone to see things in a positive perspective, then I may have an advantage comparing with someone who is more prone to see the negative aspects. And we can talk about personality here. Or if, for example, at the community level, if we have high crime rates, it will create a risk for us as individuals, and it will make it harder for us to manifest resilience. And if we are talking, for example, about organizations, we are talking about a stressful work environment versus a work environment that is encouraging people to take action, to grow, and to learn. And you see here how those layers are interconnected. And the third point I want to make is that even though it comes with some genetic background, it is measurable and it is trainable, because all the other layers can be trained. And there have been multiple questionnaires created to measure resilience. And I want to share one with you. I created in a kind of survey activity so that you don't get bored along the way. I will share again the link in the chat box. So there are 6 questions graded on a scale from 1 to 5, where 1 is strongly disagree and 5 is strongly agree. You answer the questions in the ways it feels more appropriate to you, and at the end you're going to get a score, and the highest the score, the more resilient you are. And those answers are confidential. I'm not asking for names or email addresses, so feel free to jump in and answer if you're curious. And it's super short, so it only take 1 or 2 minutes. And at the end, I will have some statistics and I will share the findings with you. Okay. So average score so far is 75%. Okay. And we have one raised hand. So Sumita, please write in the chat if you have something to ask. It's the only way I can interact with you today. And I will give you 2 more minutes so that I will be able to see more responses here. Okay, this is interesting. So we have really high scores here. It means that we have really resilient people joining us. Okay, and we have a great comment there from Sumita. I feel more resilient while facing professional challenges and less resilient in personal challenges. And that's also something that it stress out the complexity of resilience, because we are not the same in our roles. So it can be indeed more difficult for us to deal with some kind of challenges and less with others. But while we are learning to train on resilience, we are going to increase these levels step by step. So given the fact that here we have really resilient people, and that's great news for me, because this means that you are going to help me build the portrait of a resilient leader. And I want you to type in the chat the characteristics that you think made you resilient. I want to see some answers here. Your scores are really high on the questionnaire. Having a great support system, great. Thank you, Anrita. Other options, open mind, calm personality, wow. So it's like we are building the portrait of the perfect human being, right? Okay, what the exercise that I want to make with you based on your answers, fiercely independent, awareness, asking open questions, is that I want to organize everything that you mentioned here on 3 dimensions. So we have the emotional dimension, the one connected with emotional intelligence. Then we have the cognitive dimension, and then the social dimension. And going back to the emotional intelligence one, because you mentioned lots of characteristics there, like positive mental attitude, being open, honest, positive mindset. So this all starts with self-awareness and self-compassion. A leader who is resilient is an individual who is aware of his own, with their own strengths and weaknesses, and they know very well their motivational drivers. Going back to the example I gave you with Viktor Frankl, he really had and knew his motivation. He wanted to share his story, and that's what made him resilient back then. If we are talking about the cognitive aspects, it means adaptability and thinking out of the box, like being flexible, finding the right solutions, and willing to make plans and revise them along the context. So you are not just making a plan and stick to it, you are fluid along life. And the social part means that you are building close social ties, both personally and professionally. Like a resilient leader is one who has a robust professional network. And this means communication, this means taking humorous perspective on life, for example, and also being aware and showing empathy towards others. Resilient leader is also someone who is people-oriented. And all these skills, abilities, characteristics can be translated into behaviors. And we have at an individual layer, the leader, someone who is manifesting perseverance, stress management, optimism. And zooming out again to a team, we have like a resilient leader surrounded by resilient people will generate a resilient team, which in turn will be a team who will find adversity as opportunity, will find the best solutions, who are gathering together with all the resources and innovate, who are managing risk effectively, and who collaborate most of all. And then zooming out again to the organization, resilient teams will lead to resilient organizations. And that means that they will adapt, like at scale, the bigger picture. And then they will think strategically. They will manage the risk in the most efficient way. And if we are thinking about what's inside an organization, a resilient organization is one that will encourage learn and growth, that will innovate products and services so that they are taking what's here on the market and dominate it. And it's an organization with a high employee engagement because they will create the right work environment for people. So in this kind of uncertain environments, resilience is the key factor to whether an organization is able to move beyond focus on survival to a focus on thriving. And we can name a few benefits of what means to be resilient as an organization. And there's been some studies on the financial impact of resilience on organizations. I can share my findings with you on email. But to summarize here, resilience is the great protector and enabler in challenging times. I really like those, and that's why I wanted to share as like a line that summarizes all the benefits. And as I mentioned before, the good news about resilience is that it can be learned and trained. And if we are going back here, the dimension of resilient leaders, we can spot the exact activities that can help us enhance it. And in the literature, I found some directions for leaders, starting with reflection and assessment, cultivating strong professional networks, continuously learn and find purpose, like being really clear and driven about your why, as Simon Sinek is telling us. Though from my coaching experience and from my experience as a psychologist, the starting point in this is self-awareness, is the point where you go back to yourself and you become aware of what's happening with yourself, with how you see the world, how you react to events. And then from that point on, you can start modifying the limiting beliefs that will block you towards being more resilient. So I don't want just to give you examples of activities that you can do to enhance your resilience as a leader, but I want you to invite you to a reflective activity, the one that I'm usually using during my coaching practice and something that I'm using with myself in order to build my resilience skills. Okay, so first of all, I just want to mention that this is not something that I require you to share in the chat box. It will be just a time for you to reflect. And of course, if you want to share, I will be happy to read it, but no pressure here. The only thing that is constant is change. And this is a quote from an ancient Greek philosopher, but we don't need him to tell us the exact reality that we are living, right? And this means like that life is constantly changing and evolving. And from time to time, there are things that stop existing and other that start existing. And losing a job or ending a partnership or finishing a project or just stopping a product line, for example, in a business. These are kind of examples of things that stop exist. And the metaphor for this is a door being closed. And whenever this is happening, there are other opportunities that are unfolding and things take another turn. This means that other doors are being opened. Okay, so now the goal of this exercise is to become aware of the doors that opened for you when a door closed. And I invite you to take a piece of paper or your agenda, or just open a Word document, whatever is easier for you. And take a comfortable seat. It's important for you to feel comfortable. You can even stretch or take a deep breath in and breath out. And think about a time in your life where someone, a partner, a business partner, rejected you, or you missed out on something important, or when a big plan collapsed. Think about a time when a door closed. And now you can write it down or just think of it, because I prepared the worksheet for you. I will be sending to you via email. So you are going to have the activity at home with you to work on it. Now think about what happened after that door closed. What doors opened? And what would have never happened if the first door didn't close? Just take a moment to review your experiences as they happened. So what led to the door closing? What helped you open the new door? How long did it take you to realize that a new door was open? Was it easy or hard for you to realize that a new door was open? What prevented you from seeing the new open door? What blocked your vision? What can you do next time to recognize the new opportunity sooner? Which character strengths did you use in that exercise of seeing the new open door? What did you learn from the door closing? Now, write down your conclusion from these reflective questions, your insight or your aha moment. And if you want to share it with us, I would be really happy and curious to read it. And meanwhile, I just want to stress out that resilient actions often start just with a smile or a moment of reflection that welcomes a broader perspective and encourages a thoughtful optimism about events. So, thank you, Sumita, for sharing. If you have any ahas, I'm happy to hear them. And indeed, Colette, is a difficult exercise because changing perspectives and the way we see things is often the most difficult thing that we can do. Trust your decision making. Great, Karen, thank you. Letting go of ideals. And Rita, thank you. Yeah, the self-awareness is the starting point of unlearning beliefs that are no longer useful for us. A lot of stress on letting go. Thank you, Miko. Never take things for granted. And this comes to another practice that we can do to enhance resilience, like the gratitude journaling. Take 3 minutes every day and just review your day and find 3 reasons that you are grateful for. And that will help you see the positive outlook on things. Finding the quiet mind. Very beautiful, Colette. And this is really difficult for us today to find a quiet mind in a noisy world. And Laura work on self-compassion. Okay, and the sense of humor for Mihaela. This is really beautiful. So you see, this is like a kind of exercise that we can do every day. We can take, it didn't take longer than 10 minutes to do it. We just needed the context to quiet our minds or to leave aside the distractions, and then to ask ourselves some questions, which in turn will change our perspective on things. And with that, I just want to thank you for joining me today, and I hope it brought you something valuable. Gerard?
Here, I'll just put my camera on. You can stop sharing your screen now.
Perfect. Nope.
So, everyone, I don't know about you, but I've been making copious notes. What a wonderful subject, resilience. And I wonder how many people out there actually realize that it's something you can learn, you can build, you can grow, you can strengthen. For me, I find that very, very motivating. I also made notes here that in order to build resilience, the importance of having a social cultural network and family. So important. Many of us forget that. And what I also loved was the fact that it is measurable. So you can measure where you are, you can work at growing it and keep measuring it. And that I find very, very motivating. And the other thing at the beginning, mentioning a most magnificent man, a famous author, Viktor Frankl, whose essential work, his great work, Man's Search for Meaning. I read a quote from him one day. You may or may not know, but his mother and father died in concentration camps. His brother and sister died. His wife died. He was in concentration camps for 3 years in 4 different camps. And he survived. One of the things, he was starved beyond belief. And many of the people around him died. And he was interviewed later, of course. He was a professor at the big hospital in Vienna. And they said, well, how did you not starve? And they did, and you had the same food. And he said, because I kept telling myself I was fasting. Isn't that interesting? He changed his mindset, not as starving, but fasting, in order to keep the resilience and be able to deal with the situation. What a magnificent man. And Iulia, what a magnificent topic, and how incredibly well delivered. Everyone, do you have any final questions for Iulia while we have her here? Either put them in the chat or the Q&A. Either is fine. And then I will read them out to Iulia. While you're doing that, there has been a question from Emma. Let me read it to you, Iulia. She says, what is the role of empathy in business engagements and building of resilience in an organization?
Okay, so now I will answer from my own experience. And empathy is something that we all need in order to build authentic partnerships and engagement. It's something that will help us understand the person we are talking to and find the best solutions as a business to create the best possible products or services. And building resilience, I think, will help us innovate and take the context with it, which is uncertain, which is really disturbing at the moment, and take it and mold it into something incredible for us and for our organization. Is the perspective that we need to change in order to make things better from the context that we have.
That's wonderful. And can I ask everyone a favor, please? When you're a presenter, when you're delivering a talk like this, getting feedback from people is very encouraging. And if anyone would like to put in a little testimonial, how they feel about the talk, lecture that they've just heard, how beneficial it was, any positive thoughts would be very well received. I know this myself, having done countless presentations. It's lovely. It makes you feel so nice to get some positive feedback. So before you all go and disappear, could I ask you to just leave in the chat a thought, a memento, a feeling, a testimonial, or something along those lines? So I'd really appreciate that. Thank you very, very much.
And I want to answer to Livingston that I will send the exercise via email, and the presentation, the recording will be available on the Alpha Group website. So you will have access to it.
Yes, within a couple of days, the full recording will be up there on the Alpha Group website under the section called Foresight And you can go in and watch it to your heart's content and share. Please, 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 please share that link then with anyone and everyone that you feel would benefit. It would be, it's such a wonderful thing to do. And there's some lovely comments coming in. Oh my goodness, you know, I can't. Empowering, great presentation. Thank you, great reminder. Made me remember some situations, changed things. Very clear, practical, realistic, professional. Great PowerPoint. Thank you.
And you are all
I love this
helping
one.
me.
Yulia, I love this one. How peacefully you could deliver your presentation. Isn't that nice? So,
It is.
from an angel, thank you.
I want to thank you, everybody. And you are now helping me build my resilience as well.
Thank you, Iulia, for a clear, meaningful presentation, interesting subject. From Samita, very powerful session. I love the exercise, it gave beautiful insights. And from Livingston, Iulia's presentation was not only insightful, inspiring, testament to your knowledge, Iulia. I'm grateful. Thank you all. And again, from Anna Rita, her calm demeanor. So well done. Well done. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to stop the recording now.